Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the retirement zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Last week, Dr. Avellino was back. Tony, my man. Performance Living, Chapter 3. It's becoming its own thing. Had Mike Shingles in as Performance Living. Performance Living is what we want. It's not going to really replace our medical miracles topic on the show because it'll probably be in both, but Performance Living specifically going to experts who can help us figure out how to live better. And a lot of it with having a pediatric neurosurgeon is really the subject matter expert for the most part. I'm going to have other doctors in this category as well. But for having a guy like that, it's like brain health, mental health, everything starts with your brain. Everything starts with your behavior, and that's where it goes, especially when it comes to money, okay? Because money can be emotional, big time. Am I talking right? Yeah, I'm talking right. We're talking emotional. That's why our guest today, one of my best friends, sponsor, just a great guy, great dad, whole nine yards. Love talking to him so much because he has kind of control of my life with our savings, and I'm glad. This is the whole thing, everybody. When you get into your financial stuff, you really want somebody like a Craig Stiles, my guest today, who I haven't said his name yet, Craig Stiles, to be like managing this thing so you don't have to worry about diddly crap, okay? And that's where I'm at because I got a lot of stuff going on, and it's like, it's not my deal. It's not my gig. That's why we're going to talk to Craig. Craig Stiles received his Bachelor of Science in Industrial Engineering from Arizona State University, went on to get his MBA, Master's of Business Administration, concentration in finance, thank goodness, from Western Michigan University, go Bronx. Intermingled, sort of, kind of, with his college education. Craig just did this little stint in the Army Reserves and went to Bosnia and did that. Thank you for your service, Craig. In 1996. Worked as an industrial engineer for Parker Hannifin, really nice, really, really good company, American company. Started his career in finance back in 2002. That puts him like quite a while in this gig. And he's now kingpin with Ameriprise Financial, where we have, again, all of our retirement zone savings. And we want to do more work with Ameriprise and Craig Stiles. Calling this one State of the Union, we're going to talk about several things. But before we get rolling here, let's bring him in. Let's let him talk about the fam doing the whole thing. Talk about Stephanie, all the kids, because it takes about the next 8 minutes of this segment to go through all 11 of them. So we're got to give him plenty of time because he's Craig.
I could just say they're all great. They're doing fine.
No, that's not how we do it. You got to give like okay. Here's one thing I saw recently. Everybody on social media somehow Miriam Stiles, who is sort of related to Craig, kind of, sort of. Yeah. I see this young woman and she's hunting and she's got this giant turkey.
Oh, you saw that video, huh?
I saw that video and it's like, That's what I'm talking about with Craig's children. So Craig, I'm setting you up for that one. Where did she get that? On your property?
That one was actually on her boyfriend's property. So she and her boyfriend and I think her boyfriend's cousin had gone out turkey hunting. So that was the first time she went up. I heard her get up about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and they went out to the property, and that was her first turkey that she ended up getting. So it was a pretty proud moment. She was pretty excited about it. But then afterwards, her boyfriend's pretty into kind of making some of the different videos, and so with some of the pictures and images that they had. And so she wanted to go ahead and create a video as well. And so that's what she did. So she, as a part of what you saw that was posted, was that video as well as some of the pictures from the hunt. So
I love it so much. I mean, that I've talked about our grandchildren, Harpy and Bam Bam, and Harpy, the left-handed softball pitcher, who's a phenom at 10, 11 years old now. She shoots a bow. She's been shooting a bow since she's 5 years old. Her dad is a huge hunter, and I support that kind of stuff because kids need to put the tablets down, put the phones down, go outside and play, get the basketball, go run around the court, do something outside, go build forts, go just go do fun kid stuff. Why don't get all wrapped up in all of this? You got plenty of time for that, you guys. So what about the rest of the fam there, Craigie?
The rest of the fam's doing well. My oldest daughter, Michaela, graduated from Florida State University, so she's got her second undergrad. The first one is in economics from Hillsdale. Second one is in vocal or voice, if you will, from Florida State. And so she's been accepted into the master's program down there. So she'll be starting there in the fall. And then my son, Christian's been basically being an entrepreneur at home. So he started a business, kind of a lawn bros, if you will. So he started a lawn care and landscape business. And so it does a lot of little odds and ends things, almost like kind of a handyman type operation. He loves the aspect of what he's been learning and doing, working with his hands, and then so that's kind of an entrepreneurial bug that's kind of bit him over this last year.
I want him on the show.
Yeah, he'd be fun. He'd be fun to have on there.
Yeah, I love promoting young people, and I went yesterday with Sandy to a new place for her to get her hair done. Women are really, really, she's funny about that kind of stuff. And so I found somebody through the place I go to, and so she could get a little tiny bit of highlighting like in the cut. And I went with her and sat through the whole thing. And it was really interesting. A young woman, 24 years old, been doing it for 6 years, so she started when she was 18, did it in high school. I said, you have a great story. I want to promote you. I want to promote your business and how you got into this. And so, with Kristen doing that kind of stuff, great. Michaela with her education, I want to go back and talk about her in a second, but the rest of the kids, go ahead, give them some love. And then I want to ask you about Hillsdale, Michaela, but let's do the other kids first.
All right. So Charlie ended up taking a semester off working for a company called Alltech. So if you take a look at a lot of the boom trucks that are out there, you'll see ALTEC on the booms on the side of
the place.
Well, DTE or Consumers Energy or some tree trimming companies and whatnot. So he's been working in their research and development department for them as an intern, and it went really well. He was really excited about that. The group of that he was working for and working with, he really enjoyed working with that group and team, and it gave him a great understanding if he's going to get into mechanical engineering, seeing the applications of that in the real world reinvigorates him for when he goes back to school. So he's a junior out there at Benedictine College. And then Miriam, she took a year off of school, and from when she graduated high school, who knows, she got had a scholarship more specifically for Benedictine, but she's like, I don't know if college is her realm. So she wants to get into animal husbandry. She's already got a network built up. She's working for a couple of farms, also has an entrepreneurial bite, if you will, for lack of a better term, being that she was bit by a rattlesnake when she was in Texas this last November. But that has been a pretty strong pull for her in the entrepreneurial side. So she loves anything that kind of deals with the farm, animals, hunting. She's really strong outdoors. My son Charlie's kind of in that same realm. He likes going out hunting and doing things, but he's more on track with the college at the moment. And then, of course, my son Peyton, he's loving everything automotive. So anything with the motor, he's enjoying that. My son Zachariah, everything from playing a mandolin to fixing grandfather clocks to spinning and making pens, right? All these little things like this. He's kind of getting that same somewhat level of entrepreneurial type spirit. And he's, how old is Zach now? He just turned 15, so he'll be driving here pretty soon. And soccer season is picking up for my daughter Maggie. She also is very talented musically. We're trying to grow that up with her a little bit. And then the other kids still involved with soccer. The twins are in soccer, and Shaylee's in soccer, and JoJo, she's 3. She just turned 3, so busy.
Craig Stiles is our guest today, everybody. Always financial fitness, but more than that, Craig's been on the show. This is his 26th visit. And so today, I wrote down the title, State of the Union, thinking about we're going to talk about finance, which we will. We'll talk about that because that's very important to cover. But again, all of this information about the family and the orientation for the family and how to make successful children, when you figure out the secret sauce, I mean, it's magic. And we're going to talk more because we're not done talking about this. The State of the Union could be the union of the Stiles family for all I care, because it's really great information, all homeschooled. We're going to continue this thread here. It's interesting, very interesting radio. Again, Craig Stiles, State of the Union, and we're going to talk about Rotary Club here when we get back. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
This segment of The Tom Matt Show is brought to you in part by The Source of Light and Power by band leader Ark of All and broadcaster Mitch Anderson. Hear the sound that is endorsed by Odyssey headphones, linear tube audio, RME converters, and Peluso microphones at sourceoflightandpower.bandcamp.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for listening, joining us, watching the video, however, whenever you're picking this up. Craig Stiles is the sponsor of Segment 2, and Craig Stiles is a guest today. This segment is sponsored by Ameriprise Financial and Craig Stiles. Guardian angel for our radio program since we have been rolling it with broadcast radio. I mean, it's been a long time now, and Craig's been there for us, and now he's taking care of all of our retirement zone savings. Thank goodness. I talked about that a little bit earlier. With the right Ameriprise financial advisor like a Craig Stiles or someone within the organization, they can all help you, along with Craig, plan for the life you want today and well into the future. Here's the thing. If you're in a different part of the country or listening to the podcast, and Ameriprise is huge. All three of our sponsors are networked all over the country, and they will take your call. It doesn't matter, because they want to help you do whatever you need to do. And that's why we have the financial fitness, reality real estate, and talking law, which is the new category that we have on the show for Jamie. With the right financial advisor, again, as I said, life can be brilliant. Be-ism. Numbers coming at you, 1-800-528-1355. So again, like I said, if you're in California and you're hearing the podcast, which we get that all the time, it's like, just reach out, 1-800-528-1355. Local number is 517-483-4893. Craig's email is craig.stiles@ampf.com. Offices are located at where Craig's going to tell us here, because they just moved and I don't have the new address yet. So I'm going to let Craig do part of his own read. So Craig, would you like to share, please, your new Palace locations?
Absolutely. We have a new location from where we were to 2651 Coolidge Road, Suite 103 in East Lansing, Michigan, 48823. So again, it's 2651 Coolidge Road, Coolidge Road, Suite 103 in East Lansing.
What's the zip?
48823.
48823. All right. Stations that have carried, thank you for doing that, Craig. Stations that have carried the show in the past, in the future, whatever. Michigan Talk Network, Independence, 92.1 FM, Grand Haven carried us for a long time. WJM 1240 AM Lansing is the flagship of the Michigan Talk Network, where we are on the syndicated version of that. WJRW 1340 AM in Grand Rapids. We're happy to be on there for a long time as well. WKLQ 1490 Muskegon Whitehall. WYPV FM 94.5 up north in Mackinac City. And of course, last but not least, our buddies at Michigan State University, WKAR AM 870 in East Lansing, home of the Spartans. Thank you, Brad, for carrying us at Sundays at 5. 102.3 FM is the simulcast, and of course you can stream any of those stations whenever they're carrying the show, which is all over the place. So I do not have a calendar of times when it's broadcast. Because things get moved around with broadcast radio all the time. All I know is we have a podcast, and you can listen to the show anytime you want. And if you're just hearing us in the car, great. Again, thank you to Craig Stiles from Ameriprise and for creating Desideri Analytics, where we are making light of weighted decisions. We have a whole nother story. I've been kind of talking about a friend from the university, senior, who just did her senior capstone project on Desideri Analytics and got a 4 on it. And it was the best one in the class. And so it's just, that's how impactful the Desideri Analytics can be in all of these different aspects of your life. Not only the financial stuff, but Craig's proprietary algorithm that he designed. He's an engineer. He knew how to do this. Lastly, I want to say thank you to Steve and Ivy Gruber, owners of the Michigan Talk Network, for carrying us on the syndicated version of radio. All right, Craig. Long gap there. Sorry about that. But I want to go back to State of the Union as this one, because you typically you always do financial fitness with us, but talking about the children and it sort of fits together. Not sort of, it absolutely fits together, because having your financial fitness in order and your union of your family and the union of everything that you do, finance is really, really important. We left off with all of the different things your children are doing with the cars and the animals. And I have to applaud you, and I want you to kind of comment for the listeners out there on gap years that your children are experiencing. I think that's a really wise move for kids to get a chance to be like real for a second before they have a long life of doing something else. Can you please comment on the rest of what's going on with your children and the gap years and how they all are functioning and doing. And I don't think you had a chance to talk about the twins either. So please go right ahead.
The important thing for both my wife and I was to make sure that we're a good foundation for our kids, not necessarily dictate to the kids what they should be doing. They should go to college. They should do this, but more help them to recognize. I mean, we're very faith-based, so we have a strong understanding that each one of our kids has a purpose. It may not be our purpose, so we're not going to tell our kids what to do in any stretch, but we're going to give them a guidance as to what is good and what is wholesome, what is right and what is wrong, help them to understand what that means. In that same respect, that comes right down to what is fulfilling to them. What are they being called to do? In many respects, are they being called to go to school? Are they being called to do something else within their lives? What is going to be that drive for them? And then allow them to make the decisions and also allow them to fail. Too many parents nowadays, I don't think, allow their kids to fail. And to say no to our kids is a very difficult thing at times. And to allow them to fail, yet for allowing our kids to come back to us because we are their foundation, that is more important, to have them learn from their experience, knowing that they have a solid family life at home they can always come back to. So that is probably the biggest thing that I think my wife and I are in union with, to go with the theme for today in regards to how it raises for our children, understanding what my role is as a husband and as a father, and understand what my wife's role is as a wife and as a mother. And so our roles are complementary to one another. And I think that's what helps us to kind of keep our kids together and keep the union strong within our home.
So much good wisdom there with you allowing your children to fail. Immediately thought of Jack Welch, former General Electric CEO, but he came up through the ranks and blew up a couple of their labs as he was, growing up and becoming mature and learning. And he became a super executive because he was allowed to fail. And it's a really good example of what Craig was just saying. And again, the other word that I wanted to write down was complementary, because you have to have, everything has to be in balance and be complementary to each other to be functioning in a synergistic way. That's the way the world works at its optimum now, especially as fast paced as everything is now. Craig, please, we've got about 30 seconds before we go, and I want you to kind of set this up. Would you just talk about more of where you want to go with State of the Union, and we'll talk some more Rotary here when we come back?
Well, from this, the aspect of what's going on in the markets today from a financial perspective, the importance of doing annual reviews with the advisor and how your current structure should be. So that being in union with your advisor is probably one aspect we can touch on. From a family standpoint, we can still come back and address that and all the financial situations that we find ourselves in. So pretty simple.
Very good. Very good. See, when you have guests like Craig Stiles, this is why we love doing it so much, because we have these conversations. Not only do I like talking to Craig, we hang out all the time, going to events. The guy shows up like Dapper Dan all the time. I mean, he's like a rock star. People want to sign it. They want his autograph. Craig Stiles, State of the Union.
They can see me. I'm not so Dapper Dan. They can see me.
For those who can see you, this is the Tom Matt Show on radio.
Thank you again to our Segment 2 sponsor, Craig Stiles of Ameriprise Financial. For more information on services provided by Craig, please visit ameripriseadvisors.com/craig.stiles or by calling 517-483-4893. You're tuned in to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Third segment sponsored by Jamie White. White Law PLLC is where justice meets compassion. We're all about compassion because you have to care about people. You have to love people to really take care of people. And if you can find people like Craig Stiles from Ameriprise on our financial fitness and managing our money, and a lot of other people too, to White Law with Jamie, to Brock Fletcher and, the reality of real estate. All of our guys are there on the website, tommattshow.com at the bottom. Please utilize their services because they help us keep bringing you the messaging that we need to bring you the messaging for. You don't find many radio programs around that do what we do. We're different. We do niche radio. We're the upbeat quality of life stuff. We're not going out there, slashing and crashing and doing all that kind of, high energy. Oh, worry you on it. Now, you know what? How about happiness and being comfortable and finding fulfillment and purpose and passion and all the good things that are out there? Because there's lots of good things out there. Talking to Craig Stiles, he'll tell us more good things in a second here. First, Jamie White and White Law is your advocate in times of need. They're here to support, fight for what you deserve, and that's good service like everybody provides to us. Contact White Law today for your free consultation. White Law, PLLC.com. Also the sponsor of the Mad Dog Minutes for David DeMarco, which is on our YouTube channel and on our website. You can find all that stuff there. It's just greatness. You can call 517-777-9785. Tell them you heard it from Tommy, and they know immediately it was radio, because all my radio folks call me Tommy, and I'm glad to have that name, and it's pretty fun. Craig Stiles is here, State of the Union. Typically, we talk financial fitness always with Craig, but, we always have to mix in as well the family aspect of your union. And Craig, we're going to talk about annual reviews because you just did ours, and we really, that was kind of a broad stroke on the annual reviews as part of the services that you provide being our financial advisor. But we're still talking about the family and how, and some of the, I don't even want to call them tricks. I don't want to call it magic. I just want to call it consistency. But you talked about allowing your kids to fail. And I like the thread because without a strong union in the family, we're going to have problems. And if you don't have the financial stuff squared away, you're going to have real problems, because it makes it really difficult. Things get tough, right? I mean, let's talk about that. People trying to, they think they can't save the money when they're younger because they got all these things they got to do. But can you help people think about that compounding aspect of saving?
The conversations, especially with people who are starting to invest, some that are a little bit later on in life, haven't had the income and tried to live life more specifically and didn't really prepare for retirement a little bit later, and now are earning enough income to where they can put larger amounts and are willing to make the sacrifices today to try to build the portfolios up. The conversation is different with everyone. And so I really want to make sure I understand what the person's goals and their drives are. So if they're younger, the question starts becoming, because we are so programmed to start saving our assets and or saving money within 401ks, within 403bs, within 457s. But every time, and I always kind of like to put this, whenever a person wants to pay less and less in taxes, the less control they actually have of their assets, right? So, and the more benefits you want to get from from the government or something along those lines, the less control you're going to have of the assets. And what I mean by that is when people save money into their 401ks, every dollar they put into it, they can't take money out of it until they're 59 and a half without penalty, right? Because that money is supposed to be geared towards their retirement assets. But then you sit there and think about what we've been going through with the higher levels of inflation when people are now actually retired. And so if they are retired and we've gone through the planning of what their income needs to be during their retirement to come out of their portfolios, out of their IRAs. So if a majority of the portfolios in their IRAs, their lifestyle has stayed the same, but the cost of fuel, cost of food, cost of living has gone up 30-40%. Well, then they've got to take more out of their retirement assets in order to accommodate their same lifestyle. And every dollar they take out of their retirement assets is taxable. So now planning for that has become an added layer, because every dollar, if you've got to take more money out, there's more taxes you're going to pay going forward. With the next generation, helping them to understand how much they put into savings and retirement, or kind of pre-tax and post-tax, will dictate what control of their assets they have a little bit later on in life. So being young, do they want to invest in real estate properties? Do they want to invest in, other assets that are outside of the IRA realm? If they can do it in assets that are what I term as non-qualified assets, which basically means they don't qualify for tax deferral, that gives them a little greater flexibility because they're paying taxes today that they can put in for longer term appreciation later on down the line. And so we really then manage what they do inside IRA assets, what they do outside, and what their need and our objective is going forward. So really understanding what their goals are, understanding what their desires are, and then what kind of income they've got coming, what kind of debts they have outstanding. One couple, we could be focusing on paying off the debt. Another couple, roughly around the same age, we could say, well, let's focus on getting more appreciation, putting more in towards investments. So it really determines on what their individual situation's like.
And that's how we were as well. Craig Stiles, our guest today, everybody talking the State of the Union. If you had advice for other parents out there, because your kid, you and Steph have been so successful with your children, if you had any advice to give to parents out there for enabling, teaching, coaching up their kids on saving,
okay,
what do you guys do? Because this all ties together with the State of the Union.
Yep.
How do you encourage them to, because they need to think of it as their own decision. If you could just plant the seed, how do you guys handle that?
Well, if it first started off more predominantly with school and education, how my wife and I are going to save for it. I don't, and as a financial advisor, but it's, from my standpoint, I don't utilize 529 plans. I utilize UTMA accounts, Uniform Trust of Minors Act accounts, if you will. And with that, and Stephanie and I putting money or setting money aside, we can take advantage to where if the market's had a downturn, we can do tax harvesting within those accounts. We have greater accessibility to different investment products that we can utilize inside those those accounts. And then secondly, when we're talking about education, my kids all know that if they earn $1, we pay $1. So we're working with them to build up their net worth, to learn to invest in themselves and be prepared to go off to college. So my older kids, they don't have any debt. You know, they've graduated from Hillsdale, Florida State University, University of St. Thomas in St. Paul, Minnesota. My son Charlie's a junior at Benedictine College. They don't have any debt. And for us to be constantly told that, well, the kids got to go to college and they got to have debts, they got to get student loans, they don't have to. And helping the parents understand that they can actually run their own lives and work with their kids on how to get their kids to participate in their own education and their own success, recognizing that they aren't always going to be there. So to tie all of that into the financial foundation, if the parents aren't financially sound, they can't really be a foundation for the kids and help them to be financially sound. Right? It becomes more difficult if parents are not financially sound, and there can be an imbalance to where if we put too much money in 529 plans, then that's less money that they'll be able to help out. So,
such a great synopsis. And I'm going to carry this through, Craig, because we're going to come up on break here in just a second. State of the Union with Craig Stiles, Financial Fitness, Craig's 26th visit to the show. That means you can go to our website and you can listen to any of those episodes, and we've covered all kinds of topics and get to know Craig. And again, full disclosure, Sadie and I are very, very happy that we have all of our retirement zone savings with Ameriprise and Craig Stiles. I mean, I can't say enough how comforting it is. I don't even think about it. And that's how Craig's got me don't worry about it. And that's the way we roll here. State of the Union, Craig Stiles. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our segment 3 sponsor, White Law PLLC, where justice meets compassion. White Law is your advocate in times of need. We are here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. Contact White Law today for your free consultation. Visit us at whitelawpllc.com or call 517-777-9785. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back to the Tom Matt Show. Today, Craig Stiles with me, State of the Union. Craig just said as we're coming out of break, amen. I'm like, amen is right. I can't say amen enough times with having all these guys around like a Brock Fletcher, Craig Stiles, Jamie White. Brock Fletcher, the selling team of Keller Williams Realty. Full disclosure, again, we utilized his services a couple of times. Worked out perfect a couple of times. I mean, more than perfect. Perfect. Double perfect. I mean, call Brock today, 517-853-6408. That's the office number. His cell phone number is 517-303-3262. I'm going to say that again because this is the number you really wanted. You want to latch onto this bad boy. 517-303-3262. Text him, call him. You'll probably get his voicemail. And I'm telling you, I check this all the time. You'll get a message. If you get to the voicemail of Brock Fletcher, you will hear a message that says, "Hi, this is Brock. I'll return your call. I'm returning calls between 11 and 2 and 5 and 7. And he does that every day. And he sticks to his plan. That's why they're successful. That's why these Craig Stiles, Jamie White, these people know what they're doing because they've developed a system that works. Like what I try to do with my stuff, with my radio and the fitness stuff that we do, it's all about the habits and how we fit all of this in and make it work, okay? Most agents start marketing about the time you give them the listing so they can spend a little bit of your money so that they can list your house, and they run an ad for you. All three of our sponsors, they invest beforehand so that because they want to help you and they want to get their word out there. And so that's why it's important for you to utilize our sponsors because they help us. That's the way the world works. And why wouldn't you want honest people you can trust on your team? That's the whole point, everybody. That's where I'm at. If I don't trust you, you're not here. You're not in my life because I got to trust you. I tell people this all the time when I'm coaching them. When I coach people, I get harsh. I can be a real hard ASS. That's my role. But let me tell you, you don't give me the straight story one time, we're done. That's it. We're over because I just don't have the mental capacity to handle it. My bandwidth just won't. I can't do it. And I don't want to think that I'm doubting people. So that's the way it works. Call our guys, go to our website, tommattshow.com, bottom of the homepage, and click on their banners. Away you go. That's the easiest way to get to all three of our guys, Craig, Jamie, and Brock Fletcher. We love them all. They're great. All right. Let's, during break, we were coming up with something here, because we're just riffing. We're talking about State of the Union. And Craig's had all kinds of good things going on, talking about the kids, talking about savings, how to save, how to encourage your kids to save, the different aspects of people's lives. And that's where the financial fitness comes in. And Craig knows our story very intimately. And he brought up, well, I'm going to let him talk about it because he knows the story. And I want him to share with you what we're doing, Sandy and I, that Craig is enabling us to do this work. Go ahead, Craig, please.
Well, when earlier in the previous segment, we're talking about trying to give guidance to the younger generation or kids who are just starting to invest, who have either a lot of debts. Do they focus on paying down the debts? And if they start to get some additional income, accelerate the payment of the debts or start to build up their assets a little bit, later on, but really focusing on what their overall goals are and how they're going to build their net worth over time. When you and I first met, through when Dave DeMarco kind of introduced us, you were kind of starting the Tom Matt Show. You're getting more introduction to this. You're learning more on the business side of it, either getting sponsors or advertisers to you this, radio introductions, all of this, kind of playing around with the podcast piece, everything. And the dynamic of what you were trying to accomplish, I got it and I understood, but I wasn't able or willing to kind of get involved on the advertising side and I can sponsor certain things, but I can't really do much on the advertising piece at that point in time. And so that's kind of sparked that conversation where you and I started having additional dialogue. And this is basically what you're kind of addressing now as being your retirement zone. You were already starting to plan that next phase in life while you were still working. And what is that going to look like? So does that mean, do you continue to put more money because you're earning a decent income from where you're working before? You're starting into a new adventure, which there are costs involved. And what are those costs going to be? Do you continue to put more money into retirement, or do you slow down putting money into retirement and start injecting more into your business that you're going to do after retirement? Or a combination of both. Because even during retirement, it's not only you building another business, but you're also enjoying time with Sandy, with your daughters, with your grandkids. That, we want to plan for as well. That is what's going to kind of address what's important for you. And that's I've always enjoyed about conversations for people at different phases in their lives, is understanding, what is important to them and help them to understand what's important. And now how do we get there? right? And now what tools do we need to implement to get you from point A to point B, and then from point B to point C, and then point D?
Well, okay, good segue because tools. Thank you for being so kind about the refinement zone, and you know how I'm totally down with all of this. But the tools, you invited us to a luncheon last week at the Rotary, and
Yep.
you're encouraging me to think about investing in the Rotary, and because it's like, and the advice that you give me, I listen to you because I mean you're my guy, and so it's like.
Yep.
I'm seriously considering. Let's talk about the Rotary. I haven't made the decision yet. We got to still figure out how we do this and time wise and all of that, because you don't want to commit to something and not be able to put the time into it. That's where I have a problem. Not so much with the financial side of things. It's more of the time commitment thing. It's like, well, I don't want to commit to anything unless I'm 100% in. And so, but let's promote the Rotary and why it's good. I mean, maybe there's some people out there, all the people we met, they were all greatness. Please talk about the Rotary, Craig.
So I've been a part of Rotary for over 20 years. It's basically a lot of movers and shakers within the community that are a lot of decision makers that if you want to try to get something done within the community or you need to have some good connections with some individuals, Rotary's been a great place for me to develop some strong friendships. And as a part of that, if I have particular questions, I can call a person up from Rotary, and it's been a great pleasure to be able to work with many of the individuals there. But they're basically a charity or a charitable organization that you participate in. It's a membership, so you've got to go through and be accepted into it. So you apply to be a member. And then once you're a part of Rotary, there are Rotaries all over the world. There's an international organization. We have a Rotary Club in Williamston. You have a Rotary Club in Lansing. There's a Rotary Club in East Lansing. So when you're a member of one Rotary, you can go to any of the other Rotaries and kind of get to meet other movers and shakers in different communities. And that is what I really liked about the dynamic of what Rotary means, especially from the impact in the local communities, where they're like, okay, there's a need that needs to be fulfilled within the community. What can we do to fulfill that need? Who are the decision makers that can make it happen, if you will? I mean, the Rotary Park in downtown Lansing, there was a need to beautify that area. You had the old power plant that was redone by the Crispin Group that became Accident Fund, their headquarters, their global headquarters there. And so that spawned a beautification of the downtown area. They have a river going through downtown. How do we beautify it? That was one of the areas that we went to satisfy that need of trying to beautify. So we built Rotary Park. So the just a wide variety of things that we've been involved in that I really appreciate, because I can look back and say, that's a beautiful thing because the community's using it, they're enjoying it, and to know that we played a part in it, it's kind of nice to be a part of that organization.
If you're trying to build your business, and again, getting your money in the right spots is important. Having advisors like Craig is really important. I mean, the guest speaker was a man named Vinnie Gore, who I've known at Michigan State for a long time. And one thing about my time with Vinnie Gore, when I was still employed full-time at the university, not doing my consulting work out there, he recommended many good books for me. And he was the one who gave me guidance before I had met Craig. Well, you need these people in your life to help you kind of figure things out. And don't be afraid to show a little bit of vulnerability. Craig, I'm going to carry this through because we're going to come up on break here. And you know me, I get long-winded. Yep. But to show vulnerability is good, because you're not all about that. Nobody is. We've got to help each other get better, to learn humility, and then the act of paying it forward. Try going back to school and college in your 40s for 9 years. Take it from a guy like me. I don't survive that whole adventure without lots of people mentoring me, helping me, assisting me. Roy Simon, Tom Muth, so many great people, unbelievable people. We're gonna go to break here. You're listening to the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our segment 4 sponsor, Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
I can't believe how fast this radio program goes, podcast. I mean, we start the first segment, now we're in the fifth segment, which is where we give you all our contact info. It's just, that just shows you how much fun we have when we do these shows. And when I have a guest like Craig Stiles, who is on today, one of our sponsors, of course, our key lead guy, 26th visit, we can riff on all kinds of things. If you missed any portion of today's show, you're going to want to go back and get all this, because we talked about a lot of family, a lot of strategies with having a successful family, because calling this episode State of the Union, the state of your life and your union with your family is so vitally important. It's really the only thing that you have. And, then after that, you have whatever faith that you're going to believe in and the people that you believe in and people that you love. But it all starts with the family. All of it starts with the family.
It does.
You want to get a hold of me, TomMattShow.com. Away you go. Contact box. Go to the bottom of the page. Our sponsors are there. Craig, please share all your contact info. Take your time, and then we're going to have some fun with this final segment. Go right ahead, please.
All right. First and foremost, it's probably pretty easy if you just kind of Google my name, Craig Stiles, at Ameriprise, and then you come up to my website. But our location here is 2651 Coolidge Road, Suite 103 in East Lansing. 48823 is the zip code. So again, it's 2651 Coolidge Road, Suite 103, East Lansing. Call in advance, 517-483-4893. Again, it's 517-483-4893, and schedule a time for us to kind of sit down. And if you have any particular questions in the financial realm, we'd be more than happy to address those. So
easy.
Be happy to learn about where you are at your phase in life and where you want to be at the next chapter.
And again, if you're listening to this podcast and you're in Timbuktu or El Paso, Texas, call the 800 number. The 800 number for Craig Stiles is 1-800-528-1355. So there's no excuse, because there's no toll on that, because that's an 800 number. In case you haven't ever used an 800 number, they're free. And talk to Craig about your area that you heard the podcast. He'd love to hear that. What'd you think of the podcast? What, you got a suggestion? And how about finding somebody that can help me with and be successful like Tom and all your other clients that you have out there, Craig? So, Hey, listen, I wanted to, earlier in the show, if you're just joining us, forgive me, but I asked Craig something about, we're talking a lot about the children, and I specifically wanted to come back to Michaela, because Michaela has been on the program when she was an undergrad in college. She has 2 degrees and going for, I believe, her 3rd. But I wanted to talk about your experience and her experience in her first stint in college, because she's your eldest. Is that right? She's the eldest?
She is the oldest.
She's the oldest. And she went to Hillsdale. Hillsdale gets a lot of pub, good and bad. I wanted you to talk, Craig, just to kind of plug your experience as a parent of your beautiful daughter, your oldest child. Big move. When your first kid goes to college, everything the first child does is huge.
Yep.
And if you're a parent, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So after that, then it becomes like, well, ask Stephanie. She's had, 11 times she's got to go with how she deals with Craig. That's another whole story, but we won't go there.
That was her first kid.
Exactly. The first kid is always like, it's the eldest. And so talk about Michaela and that experience, would you please?
Oh, absolutely.
She's an amazing girl.
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, Michaela wanted to go to Hillsdale College. She had a positive experience when she went to a leadership conference down at University of Michigan, actually. And it was designed for sophomores. So she actually went down there during her sophomore year in high school with one of her friends. Well, come to find out, that was not for sophomores. That leadership program was not for sophomores of high schools. It was for sophomores at college. And so the people who are most welcoming to these sophomores from high school happen to be students from Hillsdale. And so her interaction there was very positive, to where she didn't even want to apply anywhere else other than Hillsdale. And so she was kind of prepared that's where she wanted to go, and had spent 2 years of her high school. What do I need to do to get there? And that was her motivation. So then being able to drop her off, how Dr. Arn kind of handled that, he says, okay, your parents are here, you're here, turn around, give them a kiss goodbye, see ya. Because he recognizes and understands that the school is there to educate the kids, to work with the parents, understanding that the parents are still the foundation for the children, emotionally, physically, mentally, all of that. So the objective was to build off of that foundation, not to shake it up or readjust it or change it. So the experience that Michaela had was very transformative for her in a growing way through Hillsdale. They allowed her to continue to use her strong work ethic. She had I worked with her, right? So as a part of my arrangement, like I shared with you, every dollar my kids earn, I pay $1. So she looked at what scholarships they had to offer. Got a voice scholarship, got a piano scholarship, got a merit scholarship. But then they also had work programs that she could work at the library, she could work wherever. And then as she continued to develop relationships at Hillsdale, she would babysit for some of the professors that are there. She had one of her economics professors, he kind of joked with her. And when I had this opportunity to, like 2 or 3 years after she had graduated, there was a economic forum. So one of the professors was up there, and Mikhail said, "Oh, you need to see if it's Dr. So-and-so." And I forgot his name, unfortunately. So I go up there and say, and I was waiting because he was talking with a couple of other folks. And I said, "Hi, my name is Craig Stiles." He goes, "Are you Michaela's dad?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm Michaela's dad." I always tried to get her to sing, and just before classes started, but she never would do it. She was always, because she did a lot of plays and everything else that were part of Hillsdale. So she grew and matured along with many of her classmates, and that built up her additional confidence to move on. Experiences from our kids at some of the other colleges weren't as successful. If I could have all of my kids go to Hillsdale, I would definitely be encouraging it, because it's a solid school, solid program, not just because it's similar in ideologies and what we do. It's that they want to build children, build them up, continue to build them from where parents left off, if you will. Build off of that foundation. And that, I think, is a very solid philosophy, rather than creating a divide between the parents and the kids. So that has been a very positive experience that we've had when Michaela was there. And when she loves her family, and it wasn't too far away for her to come home for a weekend. So that worked out pretty well too.
That last 6 minutes or so, everybody, on this broadcast radio show called Tom Matt Show, was not a paid advertisement for Hillsdale College. That was a parent talking about all of the platitudes and how grateful he is for the education that his daughter received. Which, how's she doing now? Where's she at? She got that other degree going on. Finish the story now. The foundation that Hillsdale gave her launched her into the stratosphere.
Well, the big thing was she got her economics degree from Hillsdale, knowing that music is her passion. So Hillsdale, yes, she had a voice scholarship. Yes, she had a piano scholarship. Yes, she was part of the chamber choir. Yes, she, for those who are majoring in music, she was able to be in accompanist for them. Yes, she did a lot of different plays and perform and all of that. But economics was her major at Hillsdale. After she got her degree, music was still her passion, and she had a lot of strong accolades and a lot of talent in that space. So she applied to several different schools. She went to the university here in Lansing. But then after a semester there, she had an opportunity to go down to Florida State University, and that's where she ended up continuing and finishing up with her second degree in voice. So there she's been excelling. Same thing, she had some challenges, but then her perseverance that she learned in regards to networking, in regards to coming across other Hillsdale graduates that were down there, builds that camaraderie, community. And I think that just allows her to continue to build off the foundations that she learned from home, that she then built off of from Hillsdale that she will continue to build on for the rest of her life.
Wonderful story. Finishing up with Michaela, just an incredible story. And she has 10 siblings, and she's the eldest. And so there you go with all that, helping around the house as well, because I guarantee you that was part of the deal with the Stiles family for sure. Hey, Craig, we got about a minute and a half to go before we wrap. I want to give you time to do your takeaway, talking about savings and then a little bit of the annual reviews, finishing that up from last show. But the family stuff, the State of the Union. Please do a minute takeaway for me, and then we'll wrap this bad boy.
Sounds like a plan. Going through the State of the Union and talk about the family and maintaining that union for sure. All the financial dynamics of it. But yeah, the biggest takeaway from all of this, especially from a parenting standpoint and financial, is to make sure the mom and dads are on the same page, especially with raising the kids and financially aspect and being there for them emotionally, because saving is an emotional thing where they really want this thing that their friends have, but what do you really want? Do you want to buy that or not? And helping them to plan for the future. You're 12 years old, you're 13 years old, you're getting babysitting money. Hey, donate some money to your church, and by the way, put some money away for college. All of that preparation, mom and dad need to be a strong front and need to be in conjunction with one another. And that is a strong place to be for sure.
That's it. That's excellent advice. And I'm going to close this bad boy down. If our show fits your business or group's mission, if we can be of service to you, you know how to get a hold of us, TomMattShow.com. Through all of our guests, we are servant leaders. We are very prideful in all of that. And we want to help you do what you need to do. So, again, I might even get Kristen to come in here and talk about his lawn care business, because I like promoting young people and their entrepreneurial spirit. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. You got to love yourself, love your family, take it from there. Thanks to my bro, Craig Stiles. Craig, thank you for being with me today. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Tom. Likewise.
Sandy, Brock, Jamie, everybody out there. We'll talk to you next week, and everybody have a great week. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, the Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. And lastly, thank you to Mitch Anderson. We're out.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music from the Source of Light and Power by the Ark of All.